in a big family that participated in choirs at church, karaoke for family game nights, and having fake late night concerts in my room, I realized without music, I would not be the person I am today. Music became the outlet that I used to help myself, and I believe Julian should get that chance to experience that as well. And that's one of the reasons why I created this podcast. Welcome to Plug In with Brooklyn, the podcast about the effects of music on Black youth like me here at Julian. I'm your host, Brooklyn Robinson, and today we have Caitlin Savado.
Hey,
girl, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Caitlin Savado is a broadcast tech student here at Julian. In broadcast tech, we create music for PSA video assignments and even music videos. Today we'll be talking about the positive effects of music on Black youth here at Julian High School. So sit back, relax, and plug into your musical outlet. Caitlin, welcome to Plug In with Brooklyn.
I'm so excited to be here. You know I love to talk about music.
I know. I've been seeing you walking up and down the hallways, snapping your fingers with your headphones in. So we're just going to get right into it. As someone interested in music, what would you say music means to you?
I think that music defines most of the things in my life. It helps me feel connected. It helps me align with my feelings. It helps me feel grounded and balanced. And like you said, like you might always see me like listening to something. Like I feel like I'm really reliant on music, and it almost helps me like move throughout my day.
Definitely. I create this podcast, so I can definitely relate. I feel like music has like, it has the ability to like shape one. Does that make sense? Like I feel like the music that you listen to kind of defines you.
Yeah.
And I am very particular with the people that I hang around. And I'm not gonna lie, like some people use like zodiac signs. Like for you, I use music. And I just feel like that's just like one of the better ways to like get to know somebody.
Yeah.
But why would you say music is so important to you?
Well, I think that I grew up in a household kind of like you, where music was either always playing or like it helped me build relationships with my family members too. Like me and my mom would either bond over music, or like me and my cousin, we had a phase where like we were obsessed with Ariana Grande, and that's all that we talked about or like listened to. So it helped me grow bonds, and then it also helps me feel like connected to myself, kind of like what you were saying with like friends. It helps me define how my energy is feeling, how my day is going. And then like I feel like there's certain terminology to it too. Like sometimes I'll tell somebody, oh, like you're mixing my music or you're mixing my colors. And this is gonna sound really crazy. But sometimes, like with music, I'll associate it with like a color or a feeling, or like a memory of mine. And so, like when I tell people you're mixing my music, it's like the memory that I have with the music or like whatever, it's associated with that one particular thing. And so I think that that's why it's important to me, because it like helps me structure my thoughts and everything like that.
Speaking of environments, at Julian, how would you say music has brought like the kids at Julian together? Like even though we don't have all the best resources and all the clubs and the band, like how would you say music has brought us together?
Well, I would say that like anywhere that you go, music brings a sense of like togetherness. And I think that whether we're at like homecoming or dances or in the hallway, maybe it's a day where they're playing actual music on the PA system, like kids, you'll see kids dancing, or just like moods are immediately like lifted up.
Yeah.
Even some teachers will like, I think it was Dr. Haley that like used to play music in our classrooms, or like, because they understand how some kids like need music to function or need to hear certain things to function. But I think specifically at Julian, it makes us feel a little bit more connected and also a little bit more human. I think that as students, sometimes we can feel really like confined to the boxes that we're in, or like confined to friend groups or like titles or whatever. And so I even too like to dance or like sing in the hallway, because sometimes like kids will see me as like Kate or Caitlin, who like, but I'm also a kid too, and I'm somebody who enjoys to dance, and I like to sing, and I like to be goofy and be a girl. So I think it brings a sense of like being one with ourselves.
Has music ever helped you in a time where you felt stressed or angry?
Yeah, for sure. I think that sometimes, like, and this is something that I've been like working on with myself, but just like anger, or like stress or frustration, anything like that, we oftentimes like associate it with like negativity. And I've had to like stop that, like stop associating that for myself, because emotions are ours to feel. And so I think that sometimes when I do feel those things, or like stressed out from senior stuff or assignments and classwork and all the different obligations, like I'll just kind of go to a song or a playlist or like whatever that helps me either calm down or like I feel like can match whatever I'm feeling. And it doesn't necessarily always have to like be a soothing thing, right? It just has to be something that like I feel like in the moment can resonate with me.
Speaking of resonate, do you have any special songs that resonate with you or any of your past experiences? And if so, can you share them?
I would definitely say Reality Check by No Name. She's a Chicago-based rapper. She talks a lot about like freedom and just the reality of working class people in Chicago. But specifically in that song, the woman that duets it with her, she's saying, don't feel the light that dwells deep within, and that you're powerful, like no matter what you imagine. And I think that that song always helps me to feel empowered, but also like, I think that as Black women, sometimes we can feel as if people in the room don't understand what we're going through, or people can't speak to like how we feel. And so to have a song that like can be so specific on like the issue that I'm feeling or like something like that, for sure is one of my favorites. And then I think my other one, it changes from time to time, honestly, like what I'm going through, how I'm feeling. Right now, one of my, maybe two of my songs would be, let me think. I think right now, two of my songs would be either Real by Kendrick Lamar, or let's see, because I've been in like a kind of like a rap mood recently. That or The Sky Is the Limit by Notorious Big. For the first one, I feel like Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City album, like overall, I love it so much. And it's one of those albums that's like, the project is so unique to who the artist is and what they've experienced. And I feel like nowadays there's not a lot of music that hits the nail on the head. A lot of it is for algorithm or for likes and views or like TikTok or whatever. And so that album for me just is everything. And then the second song, honestly, like the same thing that I was saying earlier with like memories that I may have, that song for me helps me to think about like New York, the 90s, but then also like my childhood and like being with my mom or like being with my parents. And I don't know, a lot of times with Black artists, I think that music is a really cool way to say what we're going through without having to explicitly say it.
Definitely.
And so the fact that the song may define or may give a feeling even without lyrics itself. But my favorite thing that like artists will do, I just thought about a song that I've been resonating with, but my favorite thing that an artist will do is put an insert of like a dialogue in a song. I think her name is Doechii. Have you heard of her?
Doechii.
Yeah, she was on Tyler's new album. She has this song. I don't know if it's Bloom or like Boom. It's something. But in the conversation, she's like saying how she's been feeling, or like she's feeling like she has to do this or do that. At the beginning of The Sky Is the Limit, it's like a mom talking to a son and like basically saying like, baby, I don't want you to be like these other boys or like whatever. And so and even with Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, like those conversations, even hearing, this is how specific I am about music. But like, and I can't remember what song it is right now. It might be Real, but she's saying, like, this is Chicago, and like, you know how things work, or like I left the key under the door, like just certain stuff like that. The specificity of it all, just, I don't know, it kind of itches or scratches my brain. But yeah.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. Don't even get me started on Kendrick Lamar, because like just growing up listening to artists like that, like artists that you have to like listen deeply and like try to figure out what he means in his lyrics, I feel like that honestly shaped me in a way. I feel like that honestly made me appreciate music a lot more.
Yes.
And it made me just feel like I can express myself through music just like all these other people. Like even if I don't make music, but even listening, like I feel like I have a special connection with the song. And people often like make jokes like, oh, you don't understand this song like I do, or oh, you don't mess with this artist like I do. But like that's real. Like honestly, like sometimes you have like these special connections with like albums and singles and even artists in general.
Yeah.
And that honestly can shape you as a person. It can make you think deeper on what you like, or think like want to change the way that you are, but not in that type of way, if you get what I'm saying. Like I feel like it in a way changed the way that I looked at life.
Yeah.
And it made me like a very empathetic and sympathetic person. And honestly, I believe that that's beautiful. Like I feel like a lot of people tell me that I am like an empathetic person and I am sensitive, and it did allow me to accept that.
Yes.
Because, you know, like growing up in a Black household, like you have to be strong. Like you have to, especially in Chicago and going to public schools all your life, like you have to be strong. You have to have tough skin. And a lot of these people aren't able to show their true emotions. And I feel like music allowed me to do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Growing up in a certain demographic or a certain community can cause kids, not even just here at Julian, just kids in general, to feel closed off to one genre of music.
Yes.
Like rap. Like people often associate rap with Black and hip hop. And I mean, I get it, but it's just like sometimes that makes kids feel like they aren't able to listen to other music without feeling left out or feeling like they're weird. Like as a Black girl that goes to a Black public school, like I listen to rock music proudly.
Yes.
Rock, country, indie, you know, all those different genres of music that aren't particularly in my, you know, my little community. It's okay. But do you feel like there is like a musical genre that you would like to learn more about or anything like that?
Honestly, it would be like a reverse effect for me. So I feel like I know most genres, and like I know like older hip hop, older rap, and like maybe some like neo soul, like a lot of neo soul. But like the current rappers that we have out now, like I don't really know them. And I think that, to your point, we've associated that sense of violence in hip hop and like that negative scheme of like rap with Blackness, to where Black people themselves have infiltrated like this rhetoric that if we don't associate with those genres, then we are less Black.
OMG, don't even get me started.
And I think that like for me, growing up in a household where I was raised by a Black woman and a Black man, and then a white woman and a white man, and having that village of people around me, whatever I decided to like explore, like express, like my parents never told me no. And I think that a lot of kids don't have that. And so it's not even like their fault that they associate that with Blackness or like relevancy or like whatever. It's just I think our job as people who understand these systems and how they impact us to then educate them. But I think the rhetoric that we are less Black because we are more in tune with ourselves, not only would our ancestors be like extremely mad at us for that, but also I think that it just shows how we live in a time where we are less individual and how we are more uniformed as a collective. And so individuality is dying. And then too, like, we are expected to conform to other people's standards.
You know, we're going to be the new adults pretty soon. We are technically the new adults since we're going to be graduating this year. And I feel like before we leave, we do have the chance to inform them on new music, new genres, new clubs, all of that. But, you know, enough of that sad talk. Just to spice things up a little bit, this is the last question. What are your hot takes on music and in the music community at the moment?
Okay. I'll give 3.
Okay.
My first is that people who don't like Tyler's new album are either anti-Black or they either are not like culturally inclined or accepting of like diverse sounds. My next hot take is listening to old music does not make you an old soul.
OMG.
I like people who say that and like feel so proud about it. Somebody had asked me, I was listening to something and she was like, "Oh, you listen to old music?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, are you an old soul?" Ooh, back up. Like, not even that I'm not gonna say what kind. First off, I don't know what soul I am, but also too, like, we try to popularize things so much and like put a label on every single thing in society that it becomes uncool. Don't ask me what my soul is.
You listen to one Billie Holiday song. Yeah, now all of a sudden you was born in the wrong generation.
Yeah, no,
let's not say that. Let's not say that.
Not at all. And then my last hot take will be, I think a lot of times people will claim things, and maybe this ties on to the last hot take that I had, but I think that people will claim things like listening to Marvin Gaye or like listening to certain genres of music, but they will have heard like 1 or 2 songs. And that really frustrates me as someone like who obviously is a teenager on TikTok, but also like actually listens to these songs. And I think that TikTok has, maybe this is my hot take. TikTok has definitely ruined songs for me and certain music for me. And I think that TikTok has started to ruin the music industry. Yeah. And I think that now artists who are not authentic to themselves, who are not transparent about their music and their storytelling, now shift towards algorithm and what people want to hear, or like what will get the views and the clicks up instead of like how connecting to people in our humanness.
My hot take, I'm just gonna say one because I got a couple that could ruffle some feathers. But my hot take was when Ariana Grande was in her when Ariana Grande was in her like Blackiana era,
what you about to say?
Era, like, I'm not gonna lie, she made some of her best music.
Okay, you ate with that one.
She made some of her best music, and now just seeing her go from that to now, it's kind of disappointing.
I was irritated because people bandwagoned on it, because that was like the pandemic and we didn't have nothing else to listen to. But like I hate to admit it because that's everybody's favorite album. But Positions was really good. The storytelling, everything. It was just a really good album.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and thank you, Caitlin, for being such a great guest. Make sure you guys tune into my podcast where we'll be talking about the negative effects of music on Black youth here at Julian. This has been Plug In with Brooklyn. Bye.